Hey, good morning, everyone. How are you? This is today's training on wear and share and what to say on the fly. I think my real title was elevator speech or something, but I find that what to say on the fly is a little bit more of an accurate description of kind of the elevator speech. So I'm Coach Molly. My name is Molly Bracken. I am a diamond coach from Fountain Valley, California, and I've been coaching for 2 years in November. And let's see, so a little bit about me. So I was a full-time working mom, and I was a personal trainer when I had stayed home with my son, but when he was 3, I had to go back to work full time, and I totally lost my fitness. Could not figure out the balance between being a working mom and trying to keep myself up, and so I gained 20 pounds like that, and then I was miserable and did not feel comfortable in my own skin. And my friend Crystal Milligan, who I go to church with, invited me to a PIO challenge group when PIO was released. That was 2 years ago in July, and I loved it. Loved it. But I wasn't drinking Shakeology. I was not a Shako believer. Hi, Jamie. How are you? Hey. I thought the Trader Joe's protein stuff that I was drinking was just fine. And so I said no to Shakeology at first, but then I tried it when Crystal offered 1 week's worth of packets or something, and loved it. I loved the energy that I got from it. I loved what it did to keep me full, and it helped me take off that last 20 pounds. So anyway, I signed up just for the discount. I was adamant that I was only signing up for the discount on Shakeology because I was working full time. I was traveling 2 weeks out of every month to Phoenix, which is where my employers are. And I was like, there is no way I have time for this. But Crystal knew that I'd been a personal trainer and that I really enjoyed helping people with my with health and fitness, and that I had had my own successful journey with Beachbody. And so I jumped on an opportunity when she said she had some trainings, and the rest is history. I went down to part-time in my job in March because I was making enough to supplement my income, and I had the opportunity to do it with my employers. So now I only travel 3 days a month to Phoenix. Woo! And I do my Beachbody coaching as well. So that's a little bit about me. I'm super excited to talk about this today because, and you can see I'm totally wearing my wear and share. I got all decked out. Not that I don't wear this stuff every day anyway, but I'm super excited about this topic because it has helped me a lot in my business. It has totally helped me start conversations. It's helped me get to know people just because I'm wearing something that they recognize or they see. And so I'm really excited about the topic. So I'm actually going to start by talking about wear and share because it's a great way to start conversations. So here's a couple of things about wear and share. One is think about where you're going before, if you're going to do this intentionally, you may as well do it intentionally. Sometimes I'm just wearing stuff and I'm out and about, but sometimes I think about where I'm going before I select what I'm going to wear for wear and share. And I say this because if you know your audience and you know the people that you're looking to attract to your challenge groups, or people that you're looking to attract as coaches, you'll think about the programs that they may be interested in, or the things they may be interested in. So carrying around this, which is currently empty because I have water in this, which is also a Shakeology cup. This is the simplest thing you can do, and this is kind of universal. You should go nowhere without a Shakeology cup of water or a shake. So if it's your shake for the day, great. But if not, make sure that you carry one of these full of water. It's the easiest thing you can do. But anyway, if it's not that, then select something that is going to reach your target audience. So for me, when I go to Luke's, my son is 6. My son Luke is 6. So when I go to his baseball practices, when I go to his baseball games, when I go to soccer, when I go to swimming, when I go wherever there are going to be moms like me around, I wear things that are a little bit more mom focused. Like I'll wear a 21 Day Fix tank top. I'll wear country heat. I'll wear things that women are more likely, PIO, women that are more likely to be interested in. If I'm going to something that has a mixed group of people, there's men and women, like if I'm going to maybe one of my church functions, or I'm going to something where there's going to be a pretty good mix of people, just going to the park, then I'll wear something that can attract both men and women. So for example, I'll wear my Insanity t-shirt, which I bought because I've done Insanity workouts, but I've never done the whole program Insanity from start to finish. But I think about these things because people are more likely to ask you about it if it's something they might be interested in doing, or if it's something that they've seen before, or they've maybe heard before, maybe they've seen the infomercial. So that's thing 1. Thing 2 about wear and share is that you should always remember when you're wearing it that you're representing Team Beachbody. And so just like, when you're out on a business dinner for your employer, you're going to behave in a certain way. It's the same thing when you're wearing your wear and share. You don't want to look angry or upset or mad, or you don't want to be like, demonstrating a behavior that's not something that you would want your clients or your coaches to emulate when you're wearing your wear and share. So I try not to wear this, even though it's my favorite sweatshirt on the planet, on our little treat ice cream days. Just, it doesn't work. Because they're like, ice cream. Now, it's not that you shouldn't eat ice cream. I eat ice cream. But it's hard for people to reconcile in their brains, fitness coach, ice cream cone. So I don't even make people reconcile that. So just always remember that you are a product of the product, and that what you are wearing, people will notice, and they make connections. What else here? So people will ask questions once they see this, or they see your t-shirt, or they see your sweatshirt, or whatever. And so be prepared for those questions. So if you're wearing the t-shirt of a program you haven't done, like when I wear Insanity, I have to remember, okay, I'm wearing an Insanity t-shirt. Oh, is that also made by the company that produces P90X? Oh, yes, it is, actually. Have you tried the workouts before? So be prepared with what you're going to say, the questions that you're going to follow up with. So when people say, have you done the 21 Day Fix? Be prepared for that answer if you're wearing a 21 Day Fix t-shirt. If people will also say, hey, I've seen that on TV. What is that? So you have to be prepared to answer those questions. And that leads me into the second part of today's training, which is what to say on the fly. And it actually was so great. I had a text conversation with one of my coaches about this yesterday, because she's looking good and people are asking her what she's been doing for her health and fitness, which is obviously being a product of the product, and the perfect wear and share is wearing your results every day. And my response was, I always say something really quick and then I ask a question. So the more, my first point is be prepared with what you're going to say that you do, like if people ask you about coaching, and or be prepared with your answer to a question about the program that you might be representing, or Shakeology, if that's what you're wearing or showing. So be prepared with a quick response that's not canned. And that's the tricky thing, because you want it to be genuine. So you're always going to be prepared with that response, and then you're going to ask a question. And so for me, the question is sometimes, do you know anybody who's used it? So what is Shakeology? Oh, Shakeology is the superfood meal replacement shake that I drink every day. Do you know anybody who's tried it? And so it gets them to talk. You have to engage people in the conversation. And the only way to engage people in conversation is to ask questions. Yay, ask questions. So, so make sure you know what your response is going to be for whatever it is that you're wearing, sharing, or even if it's just a conversation starter, because we're going to talk about that too, and the ability to just start conversations. Know how you want to present yourself, and then ask a question. So you're probably saying to yourself, gosh, I got to talk to all these people. Or you might be. If you're like me and you can chat with anybody, awesome. I've actually gotten a little bit more reserved as I've gotten older, which is, I think, a little interesting. I don't know, maybe that's common. But that reservation will portray itself to people. So my suggestion to you, if you're shy or if you're nervous about talking to people in person about our products and our programs, is to just practice the steps. Like, the first thing is you have to make eye contact with people. So my suggestion, if you're shy or if you're nervous about it, is to go out and when you're in public, just make a conscious effort to make eye contact and smile at people. Smiling is the international way of saying, hi, I like you. And my background, by the way, is in hospitality. So for most of my career, I've taught people how to be nice to others in hospitality settings like hotels and restaurants and things like that. So smiling and making eye contact is step number one for just about anybody. But you have to practice it if you weren't raised to do that, or if you're not comfortable doing that. So that's step number one. Step number two after that is making sure that you are the first person to say hello, or the first person to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hey, what's up? How are you? Or how you doing? Just being polite, but that's step two to initiating conversation is eye contact, smile, and then something verbal. And in the hospitality industry, we call it the 10 and 5 rule. So if you're 10 feet away, you're smiling and making eye contact. And if you're 5 feet away, you're using a verbal greeting. Perfect. Works for us too. So works at Target, works at the grocery store, works at baseball, wherever you are that your audience, your target audience is. Then you want to be like, once you start a conversation with somebody and you say hello and they say hello back, one easy way to continue that conversation is to make a compliment. So find something that you like about them and say, hey, nice shoes. I've never seen anything like that. Or, hey, nice shoes. Where'd you find those? You want to ask an open-ended question after you give a compliment so that, again, there's a way to initiate conversation and people have to engage with you, or they don't have to, but it's really awkward if they don't. So ask an open-ended question, and then you'll see what their energy is like. And when you get used to it, you'll start to be able to match energy for energy. So if people are soft-spoken, you're going to not be like, hi, how are you? Because you're going to scare them away. So you want to match energy for energy as much as possible in this process. When you start conversations, put away your phone. So I know that sometimes as coaches, we're like attached to our mobile devices because we're always checking in, or we're always responding to a customer, or we're always responding to a coach. But one of the best things to do is when you're at the store, when you're in public, put your phone away, because otherwise you're unapproachable. People will not want to talk to you if your head is down. So put the phone away, leave it in your purse unless it's an emergency, turn the ringer on if you have to look at it. But if you're having a conversation with somebody, try not to answer a text or a phone call or even really look at your phone, because that shows the other person that you are engaged with them and that they are important. And that's what you want. You want people to understand your genuine desire to help, or genuine desire to just build a relationship from the get-go. And if you're constantly on your phone, they're not going to have any desire to interact with you. I learned that the hard way. To be honest with you, truth comes out. I was so stressed out last spring, most of the time when I was at Luke's baseball games and stuff, because just timing wise, I still had a lot of work to do, and I was on my phone a lot. And so I did not start as many conversations with moms as I wanted to. And I was like, man, none of these people are talking to me, and they're all talking to each other. And then I was like, well, duh, you've been on your phone for the first several weeks. So I tried to put my phone away, and I started building relationships with these women. And several of them have done free groups, several of them have expressed interest, but it was my issue of not engaging. It wasn't their issue of, being standoffish or something. I was the one that was on my phone. So learn from my lesson and put it away when you have opportunities to build new relationships. And then last thing about starting conversations is when you start a conversation with somebody, don't have the end in mind. Like, this is my next challenger. Just start a conversation like with a human being. Because even though we know that we have to build relationships and we know that we need to talk to a certain number of people in order to have a certain number of challengers and have a certain number of coaches, people will sense if you're going to be approaching them as the next number or the next challenger. And so just be your genuine self when you're talking to people. Now, I've had people say, but my genuine self is really shy and doesn't want to talk to people. Well, if you don't want to talk to people, then this is going to be really, really tough. So you have to figure out ways to tackle those as your challenges and get beyond them. So now is the time where I look at my notes to make sure that I've talked about everything I wanted to talk about. Okay, one last thing. So when people ask you what you do for a living, your response is, I am an online fitness coach. What do you do for a living? So again, asking a question and engaging them in conversation. But if you don't put Beachbody first, so if you're a stay-at-home mom, or if you're the chief operating officer of a dental company like I am, if I put that first, that's what people are going to focus on. What do you do for a living? Oh, I'm the CEO of a dental company. Full stop. Not interesting. Or as interesting as, coaching is to me. And it doesn't lead into where we want the conversation to go. So you are an online fitness coach, or if you have another way of explaining what we do as coaches that's succinct and easy to understand, great for you. If not, learn to say this: I'm an online fitness coach. What do you do for a living? Because that's what we do. We mostly coach online. Some of us might do fit clubs or whatever, but that's not as common. We are online fitness coaches. So make sure you know that. Now that I've said you're an online fitness coach and that's how you should respond, keep in mind that none of your other responses should be canned, because again, people can tell when you're being cheesy or when you've memorized something, and that's not how you want to be. So you should have an idea of how you're going to respond. You should know your products. Like when people ask what Shakeology is, at first as a coach, I was like, it's a protein shake with superfoods, and not good, right? So you need to know your product. And so if you're not confident in answering those questions yet, sit in front of a mirror and talk to yourself. There's no other way to make your spouse, significant other, roommates think you're crazy, or no better way, I should say. There are lots of other ways, but no better way than to sit in front of a mirror and talk to yourself. But if that's what it takes, trust me, do it, because you will be I feel so much better when I'm answering questions now, because I took the time to practice, and I've, gone through the hard, fumbling times where I've either said too little or said too much or said the totally wrong thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's never going to be a client. So take the time to practice. So I don't think we have joiners right now. If there are questions, let me know. Please post below. I would love to help you answer them. And I have 3 things that I would love for you to do once you watch this video. So the first thing is, I want to know what's worked for you when it comes to starting conversations. What has worked? What has not worked? Tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly. So that's thing 1. Thing two is I want to know what questions you have about wear and share and about starting conversations. And I want to know your favorite wear and share story. And to finish up, I am going to tell my favorite wear and share story. So when I became a coach, I didn't have like a lot of wear and share. I had my shaker cup. In fact, I don't even know if I had a shaker cup at first. I didn't have a Shakeology shaker cup at first because I wasn't a 21-day fixer. I was a PIO girl. So I think I had to order Shaco cups so that I could, be cool hanging out with this. But I was like kind of in awe of the people that had like all these different t-shirts. And I was like, wow. And so I was talking to Crystal one day and she said, yeah, you should wear and share like everywhere. And in my first team cup, I was on a really good team and we got the tier 3 prize, which was this sweatshirt. And so I wore it out as soon as I got it. And so literally the very first time I ever wore wear and share, this lady walks up to me and she goes, hey, have you done that program? And I was like, what program? I totally didn't know what I was doing. She was like, the 21-day fix extreme, it's on your sweatshirt. And I was like, oh yeah, I've done it. It's great. I'm actually doing it right now because it was right when it came out the first time. And I had a great conversation with her and got a lead the very first time I wore wear and share. And it wasn't for her, it was for her friend. She was like, my friend was just talking about maybe wanting to do that. Could I get your information? So it was, it was just a funny situation that A, I had never done it before. B, I wore it out and I get a lead, which is, great. And C, just how I responded because I totally had forgotten that I was wearing 21-day fix extreme sweatshirt. So that was kind of a like silly me story mixed with a, hey, if you do it, it actually works story. And I thought of something while I was telling that story that I wanted to share. And now I forgot. So oops, I'll post below if I remember. All right. So I want to know what has worked for you starting conversations and like the good, the bad, and the ugly. The questions that you have about wear and share and starting conversations, and I want to know your favorite wear and share story if you have one. Okay, so post those up below along with your regular check-in stuff, and have an awesome day, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye.